Hello everyone, this is Chris Jamel at Exciton Interactive, and in this video we will focus on allowing us to edit all of our security related models. So if we go to markets, we can type something in here, it'll get saved, right? We can update categories, pick a new category, and all of this will get persisted to our Vuex store. As usual, I'd like to start by saying thank you for watching the video and subscribing to the channel. And if you're not a subscriber, I hope that you'll consider subscribing. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. So our whole goal in this video, of course, is to allow us to update existing items in our securities. So all of them, the securities, categories, markets, all of them all together. So the first thing that we're going to do is start by going into our store constants. So we're going to need to specify some actions and some mutations. So we need constants here. A little squigglies going on here because I've gotten tired of formatting things on my own. And now I've got prettier running, and it's going to not like my alignment, which I like, but we'll get rid of that anyway. So we need the actions for updating. So let's come over here. So now we have update security, category, market, segment, all of them. And actions aren't very useful on their own, so we need mutations to go with them. So we have all the mutation strings. Let's go ahead and close that. So what else do we need? We'll go into the types, security types. So we're going to do some updating here, and I'm going to need some payload. That's not the types folder that I want, or file that I wanted. Security types is the one that I wanted. What we need to do is specify the payloads that we're going to use for the updating. And for all of them, we'll just use the appropriate model. So we have the update security payload is just a security model, update security category model, so on and so forth. So now we have the payloads taken care of. We can go into our security module now. Probably have some squigglies all over the place here. Yeah. So let's go up here. First thing that we're going to need is import from Vuex, and now we need the store. We need, let me copy these in, typing them. We need all of the action constants that we just defined. We need all of the mutation constants that we defined. So now we have the action mutation constants. We have in our store types here, we need a few more. So we have the getter tree. What we need is the store action tree. We do need the store context, and we do need the store mutation tree. We again need those payloads that we were just talking about, which are in the security types. So add those in. Let Prettier do its thing there. And now we're ready to start defining an action, right? So export securities actions, const securities actions. It's a store action tree and an object. Let's put our semicolon there. So it's made up of action update security. What we'll get is this, which is a store store state. Destructure our context, so we'll get our commit, and probably don't even, given that it's typing that for us, I might not even need to be typing these while I'm thinking about it. So payload update security. So just out of curiosity, does it type commit? Yeah, look at that. Don't even need to type. Oh well. So we have we need to update a security. We're going to need the category and the market. So const, we get the category, and that's this dot getters as I security getters. We need to tell it which one that we want. We want the getter for what are we doing? Category. So that's going to require us to pass the payload, which is a category ID. Main reason I'm doing this getting is all we're going to need is the category ID, but I want to use this get to make sure that whatever category ID gets passed in is a valid one, right? So it'll go and if it ends up being that category with that ID is undefined, then there'll be it'll throw an error. So market, and that's this dot getters as security getters getter market payload dot market ID, and we can come down here and say payload dot set category payload dot set market. These settings are not really going to end up being mattering one bit. It's just that looks strange to do this getting, and then we could just do this, not assign it to anything, but then why are you doing it? Something comes along, so at least we have a constant, and then if we don't assign it in the set market, it'll show that it's never used. So let's just use it. We have our commit, mutation, update security, and update security is going to require a payload of security. So now we have an action that will allow us to update a security. Instead of bouncing back and forth, we're just going to do all of the actions at the same time here. Let's just run through another one real quick. So action, update security category. We have this, store state, the commit that I don't need to type, commit, we're going to do it anyway, store context, the payload update security category. Yes, I know, too big. So we'll save that, move us back over. So we'll do basically the same things here, right? Let me just copy these in. So on the category, we are looking for the segment, the territory, and the type. Once we have those, what we'll do is just say setting. So we set them and do the same thing, commit, mutation on the security, update security category with the payload. And I think that we've gotten the pattern down here. Of course, the others are a lot easier. So for instance, when it comes to the market, we bring in the market, we have our payload, and we just pass the payload along. There's nothing to check. It's just basically a text and ID properties. So let's do all the rest of them. So we have our segment, territory, and types. So that will take care of our actions, right? But as I said, actions are useless without the mutations to go with them. So scroll down here, export const mutations, and those mutations are a store mutation tree, or semicolon there, get started here. So mutation, update security. These are a little bit easier. We just have the state that comes in, which is an iStore state, and the payload, which is a payload update security. So we have the security that we need to find. So we want to find it. So we have a find by ID function. Pass in the state that has the securities and the ID to look for. This find by ID, though, can return undefined. But we do have a way to deal with that with our little validator. So begin dot while, and we have our store actions. While we were updating, we throw if security dot is undefined. We have an undefined message function. We were looking for security with this ID, and just to help us a little bit more, state securities dot index was that, just in case we look for ID that's greater than the index. Put a comma down here. We're about to have a little bit of an error issue going on here, so at least we know that security is not null or undefined at this point. Then we'll say category. Like I said, what I'm interested in setting it, and we need to set is the category ID. So we will say category ID equals the payload.category ID. So the problem that we're running into is right now there's only getters for these properties, no setters, and try to keep the thing as read-only as possible. But I think it's just asking for trouble if we start deleting security, the items from the store, and then adding these new ones. Probably wouldn't run into any problems right now, but I think it's just asking for trouble later on. So we're just going to update the models. I'm going to copy these in. So we want to set the last, the market ID, recommendation, and the symbol. And I want to make sure that the symbol is just always uppercase, just because that's the way I want it. And just to see again what we're doing, so mutation, and we're going to update the security category now. So again, we get the state, which is the iStore state, and the payload, which is the payload update security category. And inside of here, we look for the category again. So find by ID, state, state security categories, the IDs, the payload ID. Still, again, it could be undefined. So store action validator dot begin dot while store actions. You're killing me. Dot updating dot something throw if category dot undefined message. We were looking for a category. We were looking for it with an ID of that, and well, let's say state categories. Probably, since I'm doing it in the same place, we could just make a variable for it, but oh well. So now we be able to find the category. I haven't updated anything yet though, so just to avoid having problems typing it, what we're setting is the segment ID, territory ID, and type ID. Why are you complaining about that? Oh, I'm on the wrong line, or wrong tab. All right, so now, since we've seen the two harder ones, if we update a market, we look for the market, get the payload, find it, throw if it's undefined, set the text. And for the market, we're going to make sure that the text is uppercase. So with that done, we will just copy in the others. So now we have updating segment, so text, territory type text, and type is just a text. All looking in the appropriate states. So go ahead and save that. Before we handle those errors though, I have a tendency to forget. If we go to our store, go ahead, update it. Now we have store actions coming from there, and we have security mutations. So our actions, security actions, security mutations. So now they're added to the store so that we can use them. Leave this open here so we can see when we update things that everything is updated correctly. So here's our first one for the security. So let's update the security model. The only thing that I'm going to do here is add setters for these properties that we're missing here. So instead of typing them all out, which is I'm sure great fun to watch, copy and paste them in. So if we save, we check back here, now we have all of the setters that we needed. So the security model is done, security category model. We need the same deal here, except for we're going to start from ID, go all the way down to type ID. So we'll start at ID, go down to the type ID, And now category is good. And luckily for us, the others are all deriving from a single class, security, descriptor. What we actually need here is only one, right? The setter for the text. Right now though, we define text to be read-only, so let's get rid of that. And that's good. So now in our module here, we have no red squigglies. And just to be sure, I'll check, and looks like we have no errors. So now let's do something with this stuff. Of course, to do stuff, we need to start by importing. So we need the constants. The way we'll interact with the store, of course, is through the actions. So we bring in our action constants. We're going to need the payloads to send in. Someday I'm going to update this push route payload to be payload push route to be in line with the rest of these. And we're going to need the security model. And out of the blue, I'm going to define this type here, which is just the type for the action function that we're going to specify here. Only reason I'm doing it is if it's just long enough that it'll go on to 2 lines and throw off the aesthetic beauty of my code here. So we have our actions, so action decorator, and then we have which action we're talking about in the store, give it a name. It's a type of action function which takes in this type of payload, right? So now we have all of our actions defined. We need to, if we come down here, we have our say or load method. We are going to make a private save method, I guess property in this case, but so we'll switch on this dot which. And so we'll have, let's just say security descriptors dot categories, and we'll say return. So we need to make a category in here. So const category, that equals new security category model. Which one? That one. Stuff that we have to pass in. So ID, this dot ID, segment ID, this dot category segment dot ID, type ID, type dot ID, and just kind of well, first off, these could be null. We know they're not null. Should probably do some type checking to make sure. And apparently I've forgotten something. Oh, I did. Territory. This category, territory. So instead of just asserting that they're not null, we should probably be doing some type checking. Why I'm setting and worrying about it, because then, so when I go to the store, if we go to the update for security category here, what I'm doing is finding that category. Well, I guess in the payload sense. So in the action here, getting sidetracked. So in the action, what I'm doing is checking to make sure that the segment, the territory, helps if I'm in the action. I'm checking to make sure that the segment, the territory, and the type exist. Probably superfluous, since the interaction I'm doing over here is coming from the fact that we've already got the security, the segments, territories, and types from the store. It is possible, though, I guess at some point in time we allow saving to happen at some other point, and I guess it's just nicer to make sure the store is making sure that it's checking. So we'll ignore everything that I'm babbling about now, and so now we have a category, and let's do a switch here. So switch, and this .id. So if we have case 0, that means we're creating a new one. We don't have the facility for doing that yet. So default, and default is this update category. And we're going to return At that point in time, get rid of our extra spaces here. So that should allow us to update a category. We'll do the same thing, do some pasting in. So these are all just in alphabetical order. So we do a market, create a market, set its ID and its text, update market. So we do the same thing, just copy one more in. So security, we create a new security, yes, category ID, last, all of that, update security. And then that just leaves us the other three easy ones, right? So we have update the segment, update segment, territory, update territory, and a type. So now we have the functionality to update, I guess provided that I've done everything correctly, and we'll see here in just a second. But in order to see that, what I'm envisioning is that anytime we'll follow this basically the same pattern. We have a list of things. You click on one of the items, it'll take you to a page in which you can see all the details. Either you're creating a new one, or it has the ability to edit whatever current one is. So we have the same basic setup. So we'll add a little bit of extra functionality. We'll create a new, in our components, a new file. We'll call that details action buttons.view. This will be basically pretty simple here. Let's go ahead and just create the whole kit and caboodle. So before we do anything with the template though, I call these details action buttons. What we're going to want is to have the inject decorator and the prop decorator. And we need an import from @/components/routing service. So what we'll have then is inject will give us private read-only routing service. So we'll get the routing service prop. Well, one thing that we need passed in, read-only save, and it's going to be of type no parameters and void. So now we have the functionality for it. The reason why we have common functionality we'll have, so we'll have a private, a cancel. So if you cancel here, it's going to be the same as routing service dot back. So we'll just navigate backwards. We'll have a private save, I call it save internal. Since we have the save prop, we'll then just do this dot save. Once we've saved, we go back again. All right, and we need the template now. So up here we'll have a div dot buttons. Inside of there we'll have a button. We're going to style it, give it red. It will have a type equals of button. For this one, v-on and click prevent. This one is our cancel button, and inside of it we'll just say cancel. Button green will be type equals submit v-on click prevent and save internal and save. Well, we're in a completing type mood. Tiny bit of styling down here, so we're doing sass. We have our buttons, and this one will be display flex. I want them side by side, and we'll do for each button we'll do flex 1. So hopefully that's correct, and we'll see here. So back to our security details page, go back to the top of the script section, import from @/components/ what do I want? Buttons. Details, actually, let's get rid of the parentheses. Details, action, buttons. I'm going to snag that. Go down to our component decorator. Save it. We should then be able to add it to our template now. So what I'm going to do, come down here, put it basically in the same line as these ifs here, detail action buttons, v-bind save, save, save again. So if I navigate over, I have my buttons. We'll deal with some styling here in a second. I put an S up there, save it, we go back, and something didn't save. What's my errors? It's always fun when things work perfectly when you went through it the first time and now they're not working correctly. Always fun there. Let's see if we update the territory. Nothing is saving, no errors. To make me feel better, let's adjust the styling real quick. So inside of here I have a buttons. Just takes care of everything to do with buttons. Partial. Do is create a mix-in for generating button. So the mix-in, you pass in a color. We'll specify a hover color by using the shade function. We'll shade the color by 20%. We'll set the background color. So then if you hover, we'll have the background color. Then we'll contrast switch the color. Just helps with accessibility. If the button's disabled, if you hover over it, will just remain with the background color so it doesn't change. To make our buttons here work, we now specify button red to be a red color, and I'm getting a green color here. We save that. At least that part worked. All right, so let's see if we go in, see how long it takes me to figure this out. All right, so that's about 10 or 15 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. And some of you probably already saw it. And the problem is that while I'm writing these videos or recording these videos, doing some other work in Stencil.js, and the problem is the way that I define my save down here. This is right now as a property. What I need to make it to work in viewland is an actual method. So now if I save that, go back over here, just refresh for good measure. Put my S on the end there. So now everything's saving the way that it's supposed to. We'll see that if I make change that, we'll make this down here. Cell. So all of that stuff is saving the way it's supposed to. We can check the other ones like a territory. And territories are all saving. So everything is saving the way that it's supposed to now. So get rid of those console log statements. And I think that'll take care of it for this video. So in this video, we've managed to take care of everything that we needed to get it so that we can update all of the security related models that we have. And I think, of course, in the next video, at least in part, we'll focus on adding or allowing us to add new ones. Right? But until then, I will talk to you later. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. I know that your time is valuable. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and click the thumbs up button, as well as share the video with your friends. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. And once again, thank you, and I will talk to you in the next video.